Welcome, everyone, to another week of Mastering Money Mondays, where each and every week we infuse a topic that will transition us all from one of being a debtor and or saver into one of being a wealth creator. I am Mr. Green, affectionately known as Mr. Flip Your 401k.
And I am Cynthia Pete, also known as your financial freedom fighter.
That's what's happening. So, hey, why do we have this podcast? Why do we have this show, Mastering Money Mondays? It's quite simple. One, we've been taught how to make money, right? Go get an education and then get a good high paying job. Two, we have been taught how to manage money. All right. Now that you're making a little money, dump that in a checking, savings, or 401k account. However, we have not been taught how to master money. And what does that mean? Taking the same dollar over and over and over again, multiplying it and becoming pregnant with possibilities so that we can fulfill our purpose. So as Cynthia and I are learning more about money, whether it's through mentorship, reading, masterminds, we decided to pour into community so that we can all help support each other as we grow and evolve within our financial journey. So before we get into this week's show topic, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, tell your mama and them. Now, with that being said, episode 28, we just wanted to share with you all some books, some readings that have influenced us, right? And has changed us from a financial perspective. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. And with the intent that maybe if you haven't come across these books, you may read these books and it may help you. Or if you're not reading at all about money, then maybe it'll inspire you, motivate you, encourage you. And look, this comes from someone that does not enjoy reading, right? I do not enjoy reading, right? And I listen to books too. I prefer that, but I don't like no parts of it, but I respect it. I understand it. And I know that it is a compliment, a necessary compliment to growth. So we are going to be sharing with you all some of the books that we have read that has influenced us within our financial journey and how or why they have influenced us. So with that being said, Cynthia, I'm going to turn it over to you. Share with us some books that have influenced you.
Yes, let me go first because you have props.
I'm an overachiever.
Yes, you're an overachiever.
Like, look, I sent Cynthia B. I sent her a text and said, hey, bring some books. She gets actually to the podcast recording studio and say, oh, hey, I just checked your text.
You sent it at 8:30 this morning.
What's your point? I don't know what's the point. What?
I was putting on makeup.
Okay.
This is what I mean. Yeah, the men don't understand. Like, we have to put on the makeup, make sure everything looks right. Anyway, so I will go first because he has, physical props. I don't. So I have two books. One book is The Psychology of Money. You ever read that book? Those books where you just like light bulb. So a lot of people read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is my second book, which is really, really good because it changes your mindset from just getting a job to understanding how to really make money. And it's really not about getting a job, right? It's really about what we talk about, mastering money. But I wish I would have read The Psychology of Money before I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, because The Psychology of Money talks to you about money not from numbers and percentages and investing. It talks to you about money based on behavior, right? And because the book will tell you even financial planners are broke. So even they have the information, even doctors, we've all seen overweight doctors.
Yes.
Right? You're a doctor, you know that this is not healthy for you. But what he focuses on is the behavior. And his thing was, if you see the money, you will spend the money. I attest to that. And so what he was saying is, when you're making money, because he made a lot of money and went broke and was depressed and just, went through the whole, wealth journey. I was talking to a guy the other day, side note. And we were just talking about, strategy and, how to, pay off high interest debt. And he was just like, well, if you don't go bankrupt first, are you really successful?
I've heard that.
He was like, if you don't go bankrupt at least once, are you really going to be successful?
Man.
I was like, I never thought about it like that. But this guy, he had made a lot of money and then he went bankrupt. And so what he realized is the psychology of money is if you see it, you will spend it. Right. So he had a strategy of like, just get these 3 bank accounts. One you can't see, and you put certain money over there. You put your profit over there. You put taxes in another account, and then your operating expenses in another account. So that it's much more in depth than what I'm telling you. Really, really good book, that talks about being successful and making a lot of money is risk, but it's also like opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. He talks about Bill Gates, who is a computer mogul, but he only got interested in computers because in 1960s he had a forward-thinking high school teacher who was like, man, I think these computers are going to be the future. Let me convince the school to go buy one computer for the school. What if he was in a different school? We might not have Microsoft, right? So it's also opportunity and timing. So Psychology of Money, love that book. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad, that really teaches you how money really works. Yeah. Right.
That's what's up. So as we talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad, I want to talk about my books or share my books because
you want me to hold your books up?
If you don't, can you?
Yes,
do something. Okay. But no. So this is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The author is Robert Kiyosaki, which is also the author of the Cash Flow Quadrant. I actually came across this book maybe a year or two out of college. And what this book did was, it was a mindset book for me, because what Robert Kiyosaki did in this book is he put 4 different personality types or personas into a quadrant. So if you can visually picture this, you have a left side of the quadrant and a right side of the quadrant. On the left side, you had the people who he considered maybe kind of somewhat like middle income, maybe even rich. So like employees and self-employed. And when he talked, this blew my mind, because I've always equated lawyers and doctors to being rich, wealthy, well off. But his point was they're still self-employed. So they're still exchanging their time for money. So even though they are working and making a lot of money, they're still exchanging their time for money. And so by definition, that does not make them wealthy. Right. So and then on the right side of the quadrant, he classified the people that are wealthy, which are the big business owners and the investors. And so within the book, he talks about the different mindsets and habits of each of these personas within the various quadrants. Mm-hmm. And what that did for me was it changed my mindset, because now, rather than thinking about having a skill and having my business around that skill, it had me thinking more about like how investors or big business owner thinks, which are thinking about the systems and the processes and building the systems and then hiring people in order to facilitate the systems. That's where the residual income comes from. That's where the wealth comes from. So even though I did not have a business at the time, my mindset, my outlook in life, my perspective, the decisions that I made was as best as I could in alignment with that mindset, so that when I did come into a business and I got my nonprofit organization, I did have to start out at first working in the business, but within year 3, I was able to segue outside of the business, because I started to hire individuals to facilitate the system that I built while I was working my 9 to 5. That's why I call myself Mr. Flip Your 401k, because I took my 401k and seeded it into a business and built a multi-6-figure operation, all while working a 9 to 5 and climbing the corporate ladder and becoming a 6-figure, a 6-figure employee, all while making six figures in my business. So that's Rich Dad, Rich Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant.
So let me ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. I'm learning this on the show that you read this shortly after college. So is this like a, do you think this was more beneficial than your degree, or this complemented the degree?
I would have to say, that's a great question. I would have to say it was more beneficial than my degree.
Yeah.
And I say that because getting my degree, it was grooming me to be an employee, the best employee possible, right? But I've never been an employee. Like when they say it's in you, it's not on you. Like when I was 5, I was selling candy. When I was 10, I was painting street curb signs. When I was 8, I was mowing yards. When I was 13, 14, I was painting at car dealerships, right?
Yeah.
When I was in college, I was cutting hair, making mixed. Like I've always been a entrepreneur.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's more beneficial, because this aligned with more so who I am at the core.
Yep.
And because I was able to align with it and shift my mindset within that alignment, my approach to everything else that I did in life subsequently as a result of reading this book changed.
Yeah.
And college and my degree did not do that for me. Now, there were some principles that I inserted into my business as a result of what I learned in school. But to me, if I didn't have that mindset, it didn't matter, because I wouldn't have been able to apply those principles anyway.
Right.
So I think it's more beneficial.
Yeah, maybe they should teach this in college.
Ain't no maybe.
Okay.
They definitely should. Okay, my second book is Money, Wealth, and Life Insurance. What is Jake Thompson, I believe, is the author. I actually came across this book, gentleman, I think he's an insurance agent by the name of Mike Allen. I met him in the community that I met you in, and he told me to read that book.
Okay.
And that book is what changed not only my mindset, but my actions on where to put my money. I started to learn more about life insurance and how it worked and how it can be used as a foundational wealth creation instrument in order for you to create your own banking system as a result of reading that book. And also shout out to my former mentor, Marvin Mitchell. I did read his ebook called Become Your Own Bank.
Yes.
These two books, between his book and this book, changed my behavior, where I started moving money out of other financial instruments like my retirement savings and even my checking and savings account, and put it in a life insurance, which completely changed my life. I'm going to tell you about this play that I'm about to do with this car. I'm about to buy a car, about to trade my old car in, right?
Okay.
Trade my old car in.
Wait, the car prices doubled. But go ahead.
Look, the car that I'm looking at is going to be about $22,000, right?
Okay.
I'm going to get about $12,000 for the trade-in, right?
Okay.
So that's going to make the remaining balance about $10,000, anywhere from 10 to 12. I'm going to take my credit card and I'm going to pay for the car in full. All right, you follow me so far? Y'all following me?
Yes.
I'm going to then borrow from my life insurance and pay the credit card off.
And pay yourself back.
And pay myself back. Now, based on how much I'm able to save from month to month, I'm going to be able to pay myself back within 3.5 months. So now we got a paid off car. We got the loan paid back with interest back into my life insurance policy.
Yep.
But wait, there's more, right? I get the cash back points from paying off the credit card.
Yes.
But wait, there's more. And then I'm going to take the car and I'm going to rent it out. So I'm not even going to, so whatever car note that I could have had or whatever money that I would be paying back into my life insurance, I'm going to be absorbing some of that as a result of other people paying the rent on the vehicle that I purchased.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you master money.
Okay. Now,
Next book.
Third book. I'm in the process of reading this. Shout out to my other former mentor, Storm Leroy. He turned me on to this because I've been big in leaving generational wealth and legacy. This is what would the Rockefellers do. So this talks about now how you use life insurance and how to build a trust around that, so that way you can pass your money, that protect your assets first of all, but then pass it down from generation to generation to generation. And what people, I think, the success leaves clues. And so Rockefeller, there's always a comparison between the Vanderbilts and the Rockefeller family, right? And I won't go into that, but John D. Rockefeller is the blueprint or the template for leaving generational wealth and legacy behind. All right. And so I am wanting to pattern his system and incorporate it for my own family. And so this book kind of gives you actually an outline and more, a greater understanding of how John D. Rockefeller built his system. So that way you can learn it, understand it, and then start building the system of your own, so that you can pass down generational, not only wealth from a financial standpoint, but generational financial literacy as well, so that you can put your kids in a better position, whether it's through college, whether it's through businesses, so forth and so on. And so that's what the book talks about. And so now I'm leveling up now as far as what I'm doing with my money. And so these 3 books have all been influential, inspirational, and educational in my life. So those are mine.
Yeah, this is good because essentially what these books and even the books I mentioned, they're teaching you how money flows, right? And so there's a certain way that money flows through banks, right? So they you take a loan against a bank, or you put your money in a bank for checkings and savings. The bank then takes your money and goes and invests it.
Yep.
Right. That's why if everybody came to the bank at one time and wanted to withdraw their money, the bank wouldn't have it. It's not because of robberies, because they have invested the money.
Right.
And so essentially what all these books are teaching you is that you can do that yourself. That is not something regulated to the bank. It's just how money flows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, we wanted to, again, just share with you some of the readings that we have come across in our lives, how that has influenced us, how that has impacted us, to maybe help encourage you. Because even if you think you know about money, or you don't know more about money at all, I guarantee you the more that you read about it, the more you will grow to understand it. And the more that you understand it, man, you'll start being wiser with the decisions that you make when it comes to money. So with that being said, we appreciate you all again for joining us for another week of Mastering Money Mondays. Again, be sure to like and subscribe, tell your mama and them. And until we meet again, take care.